Coach Paula, your life transitions coach. Today is Sunday, March the 10th, and I am here for the Sunday 7 in 7 segment. I know it's Oscar time, and so this is where I come and I talk to you for 7 minutes on a Sunday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time just to give some thoughts and ideas. So I hope you'll join in and listen. Good evening, Shantae. Hey, girl. So this evening I want to continue the journey. The month of March has been dedicated to my brother Mark. And so I've been sharing life reflections from my relationship with him. As you may recall, my brother passed away when I was 15 in 1985. He was 19. Last week, I don't want to rehash because I only have 7 minutes. Last week, I talked about the influence that he had on my life as it related to driving. And so this week, I want to talk about the impact that he had on my life related to my education in my remaining 6 minutes. So let's go. So, my brother was 4 years older. And so, when I started high school in ninth grade, he was in his senior year. And so, my brother was not the strong academic. You know, reading, writing, and arithmetic, those just were not his forte of things. And so, my brother was struggling a little bit with his English class, most specifically, and math. And so, the way my parents did it, we sat around the dinner table and did our homework together. And so, I learned a lot of my brother's academic stuff just trying to help him to navigate and learn his things. And so, my parents said, okay, we need you to get through 12th grade and we need you to apply yourself. And so my brother really started applying himself to his English class and writing his papers and doing the different things. And I think he felt because he was working so hard on the primary subjects that when it came to gym class, he could just bail out on that. So my brother started cutting gym. So first marking period, he got a nice old F. And my mother said, boy, you need to get your life together and you need to do better. Even if you just show up and put the uniform on and don't do anything else, at least you'll pass. My brother kept cutting class and he failed gym, literally. He failed gym the first time that he to went through the 12th grade. He failed it. Like every marking period, he failed. And so my brother would cut class. And so I decided one day, Paula's never cut class. I decided to cut class one day and go looking for my brother. First of all, I wanted to try to convince him, go to class, but I also had never cut class before, so I thought it'd be interesting to cut class. So the way our school was designed, the high school I went to, the public high school when I went to in ninth grade, was 5 floors. The third floor was like the central floor, and the first and second floor was for lower classmen, and the fourth and fifth floor was for the upperclassmen. Now I was in college prep, I was doing good, I was a good student, all this kind of stuff. So here I go up to the fourth floor to find my brother, and he would always be generally in the auditorium. So I go, opening the door, all bold and everything, and I didn't realize there was an assembly going on in the fourth floor auditorium, and I'm like, oh, sorry, and I go to close the door. And this lady was like, she was like a little angel. She's like, no, come on in, baby. I'm like, oh God, I don't even belong up here. So I go in and here this event is an academic event for Upward Bound. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Upward Bound, but it's a summer program for 6 weeks where it takes your rising grade. So if you're a rising sophomore, which I was in ninth grade, I would have been going to sophomore year, my next year, it gives you all your classes in advance to help you, your biology, your English, and so forth, to prepare you for when you go back to school. And I was like, wow, I like that. I'm going to live on a college campus for 6 weeks. I'm going to take classes. I'm going to learn all this stuff. Like, this is right up my alley, right? So I was really excited. But then I was wondering, well, how nobody ever told me about this? Like, I'm a college prep student getting straight A's, and nobody ever told me about this program. So needless to say, I applied, I got accepted, and I was really excited about going to Upward Bound that coming summer. And I was like, oh my God. And my parents were like, well, how did you find out about it? And of course, I didn't want to tell my parents I had cut class. And I was like, oh, I just, stumbled across it. I didn't want to get in trouble for cutting class. That was my brother's whole thing. But I say all that to say my brother cutting class, him failing his senior year the first time, um, that became instrumental for my education because I ended up going to Upward Bound that summer, doing really well. And the program directors did not want to put me back in the public high school that I came from. And so I ended up getting an academic scholarship to go to a public high school. And I graduated from a very small high school. There were only 11 people in my graduating class. I don't advise you to do that to your children, but it was very small. I got a very good quality education in the high school setting, went on to do many different academic pursuits, which don't matter right now. But I say all that to say, I would have never learned about that if my brother wasn't cutting class. I don't know that I would have learned about that. Maybe I would have learned some other way. I don't know. But the way I learned was through him cutting class. Why is that significant? Because sometimes when we talked about motives and intent, sometimes we can be doing the right thing for the wrong reasons. Sometimes we can be doing the wrong thing, thinking that we're doing something right. Right? Like it's all kind of angles and perspectives of this. My brother was definitely doing the wrong thing. He should not have been cutting class, but he helped me in a way that set me and set a trajectory for me. And so for you, in my 30 seconds that's left, I want you, we've been talking about being intentional, talking about the impact and the legacy that we leave on people. I want us to be aware of the actions that we take and how they have impacts to someone else. So think about that this week in your relationships, in your interactions with others. The decisions that you're making can have a positive or a negative impact on someone else. This turned out to be a positive thing as it relates to my education. However, it could have been something negative as well. So that's our awareness point for this week, to be intentional and to be aware about how what we're doing impacts someone else. And it might be necessary to have conversations with people in your family, in your sphere of influence. You never know. But you, as the person that's impacting someone else, needs to be aware. Your self awareness is key to make sure that you are guarding and stewarding well over how you impact others. I'm out of my time. So I hope in these 7 minutes I have shifted your energy. I hope I have awakened your potential. And I hope I've given you something to think about. I'm going to be back on Wednesday and Friday with either a video or some type of post to check out how you're doing with this. But let's talk about it. How are you impacting the lives of others? And how well are you stewarding over that impact? My brother's been gone since 1985, and I still reflect on his life and the impact that he had on me in those 15 years. I want you to be doing the same because you're impacting somebody's life even today. So be mindful of that and steward it well. Take care. I'll see you next week. And turn the Oscars on. I'm about to turn them on now myself. Take care, guys. Bye bye.